Welcome to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Apple, and my co-host / co-founder Vincent, we dive into the streaming service. We tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth and what is not. And let me tell you something, we are still in Monster March. The monsters are still out there, and today we are doing 2020's very own Love and Monsters. Monsters and love and monsters, it's all the same thing.
Love and monsters.
But love comes first, really. That's the back catalogue saying, we put love first. We finish every episode with that, so make sure you stay to the end. Vincent, we're doing Love and Monsters, which is like Netflix's very own.
Yeah.
It's a comedy / monster movie. Some would say it's a love / monster movie.
I was about to say /love / comedy.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rom-com.
It's absolutely a rom-com.
Yeah. I'm going to get into the facts, then we're going to get into just this movie.
You got a review?
No, I didn't look at the reviews for this one because
right.
I did look at the reviews, but there was nothing, talking about.
There was no conspiracies happening in this one.
Yeah, I wish there was though, because that could have been an arc throughout Monster March.
I mean, it absolutely could have. I feel like this movie has the capability to have. Conspiracies.
Look, let's just look at it because it's government things.
There's giant bugs.
There's giant bugs.
There's chemicals.
Parentheses 666. Let's look at Love and Monsters reviews. I wonder if maybe there is a like a website, or maybe this is a niche that we need to create that just talks about the conspiracies of movies. You know what I mean? But it just like really dives into it. Now, what am I looking at? I'm looking at reviews here. It'd be hilarious if it's like, this is a 10 out of 10, but like, this is all the things. Now, a lot of it is, talking about
Love and monsters.
And monsters, yeah. And how it's not a very good movie.
Okay.
Silly and boring, as bad as A Quiet Place, which is, that's a bad review. That's a bad review right there. Giving this above a 3.5 makes you a brain dead idiot. This guy gave it a 1 out of 10, so he's definitely not a brain dead idiot.
Yeah, that's confirmed.
But no touch on the cult or the occult.
The occult, the Illuminists. I didn't see any lighting in this one. I might just candles.
I know this is not the movie, and people came here for the movie. The 5 people that came, they came here for the movie.
They came here for the movie.
But like, should we look up like occult films theories?
Or should we just divert this entire podcast to 2.5 minutes in?
Like, do you like scary movies? Parentheses why? A review on the empirical research. Conspiracy theories and unpopular culture, Illuminati and occult symbolism. You can buy that for $25 off Amazon.
I'm not buying that for $25.
No.
I'll just read IMDb reviews and they'll give me all of what I need.
Collider have the biggest myths and theories about cursed horror movies. And that's monster things.
That's monster things.
We could do that as a different episode though.
We could do. This is also boring me. So can we talk about the movie?
Let's talk about the movie. All right. So Love and Monsters, let me give you the reviews on this. This is 6.9 out of 10 on the IMDb, 94% on the Rotten Tomatoes. It got 3.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, let me just quickly peep on that. That's the tomato meter. So that's based off 112 reviews by actual reviewers.
That's like critic reviews.
Critic reviews. And then 89% on the audience score.
That's pretty impressive.
112 reviews is low though.
Is it?
That's low, But
that's still a significant number, and a lot of them would have had to give it pretty high rating.
I'm looking at it now, and it looks like everyone gave it just fresh tomatoes, which makes me think, oh wait, most people.
So what is they don't rate things out of 10 or they just say it's fresh or not fresh?
No, they give it a score out of 5, 10, 4, whatever they want to give it. And then they put it up on this forum, and they say if it's fresh or not fresh, So I'm guessing there's a specific criteria as to what is fresh and what is not.
Okay.
I'm not going to look into that though. But I'm looking at all these reviews, and here we go. We got a top critic here, Roger Ebert.
Hey, our guy.
Well, it's rogerebert.com.
Yeah.
So it's the continuation of our guy because Mans has passed away.
That's right.
But this is Nick Allen, an excellent display of O'Brien's infectious imagination and comic energy. 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4 stars.
Remember, this is the issue that you had with Ebert when we first started.
Yeah, okay.
He does 3 out of 4s. But let me tell you, There's a lot going on here. 7 years after the monster apocalypse, Joel Dawson, along with the rest of humanity, has been living underground ever since giant creatures took control of the land. And I would read the rest, but there's a lot there. But that's all you really need to know.
That's all you really need to know. There was a asteroid. They shot rockets at the asteroid. There was chemicals in the rockets. They rained down on Earth. Small bug is big bug now.
It's big bug now. And like it's, you think about a small bug like an ant and you think of that being
big.
I'm talking about, maybe even 12 foot tall.
I mean, we're talking 12 foot. We're talking 24 foot.
Well, it depends. It depends on like what part of the bacteria got to them, or what part of the.
That's right.
Whatever that stuff is called that dropped out of it.
But essentially, this movie is small bug is big bug.
Big bug, yeah. And like, can you get from A to B?
Yeah.
With small bug and big bug.
With small bug is now big bug.
I want to talk about in this movie. I want to talk about the bugs, because there's a plethora of bugs that we see. Or a couple of bugs that we see throughout this film, and I want to see which one we thought was the favorite, what we thought of the bugs in particular.
Because there wasn't just bugs; there were lizards, and they talked about the lizards. There was the toad.
There was a toad. There was a crab.
There was a crab. So I wonder what because they said cold-blooded creatures. That's what they said.
It is effective to cold-blooded
insects.
Creatures.
Cold-blooded.
I didn't even know an ant had blood.
Had blood.
I mean,
they might have multiple.
Like it's so small, it could just have one blood.
It could just have one blood. Can you imagine an ant? You're in an ant colony, and some man gets like impaled by a stray toothpick or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's lost his blood. Someone go find it. Get him a blood. And man's just, they're passing like the whole chain. It's just one blood cell.
Just one RBC.
Just one RBC, man.
Yeah, look, I don't know enough about like insectoids to know what kind of blood they got going. But
or if there's more than one.
But yes, there you're right. There is not just insectoids. There's also frogs. There's also crabs. It's strange that I know the leeches in one part are not big. They're just like normal sized leeches, but they do hallucinogenics.
They do, yeah. So small bug is big bug, and some small bug is now hallucinogenic bug.
And then I want to talk about, let's just talk about the fact that is this just zombie land, and they said let's put bugs in it.
I mean, it could be.
It could be. Like, we're not going to answer that just yet. And then I want to just hit the hits and misses, because we'll do that. We'll do that here.
Because there's two things that I specifically want to talk about in this movie, Love and Monsters.
You want to talk about? Yeah, I know what you want to talk about.
What?
Monsters and love. Is that the two?
No. I want to talk about how exactly did the president die in this movie?
Yeah, 100%.
And number two, does the main character, Joel Dawson, have a facial hair inability to grow? Or is he finding a razor every night? Because Mans is out there for 7 days.
Yeah.
And he's clean shaven.
And he's mostly looking pretty like primmed and proper.
Pretty primmed and proper.
If that's the correct wording.
I mean, the only one that didn't look primmed and proper was the kid.
The kid didn't look primmed. I keep thinking Dawson, but it's not Dawson. Those two heads you're talking about.
Yeah. Michael Rooker and
Ginny,
the kid is. I think Ginny.
Yeah, I can't remember what their name is.
Yeah,
but that's right. And like kids, they'll go in the mud.
They'll go in the mud. But like Mans went in the mud. And he came out the mud, and he's
freshly shaved.
He's looking like he's going to the 95th Annual Academy Awards.
That's right. Shout out the champagne carpet.
Which, I mean, that's... I don't like that in movies, because Mans is literally out there in the mud.
Yeah. He's in the trenches. He's quite literally in the trenches.
The trenches.
There's one scene in which there's a giant insectoid, and he's in the mud with a dog, and he comes out looking prim and proper. Let's talk about the bugs, because... So the idea of this movie is his girlfriend, prior to the monster apocalypse, they split up. Not as in they choose to split up, but just like circumstances make them split up. Like, my family's going this way, your family's going this way.
Yeah. I've got to bring chandeliers. You got to, I don't know, probably bring like food supplies.
That's right. You got to do things that like are more appropriate for the apocalypse. And now everyone's living down in, or most people are living in bunkers.
Yeah.
Trying to keep away from the surface bugs.
They don't go on the surface.
They don't go on the surface unless they're looking for specific food, people, or medicines, right?
Yeah.
And the aim for him is he wants to get from his colony to another colony, which
Because he wants to see his girlfriend again.
that's right.
Because it's been 7 years.
And he's in a bunker where just everyone it's a college party.
It's a college party. Everyone's found love, and he's just there, drawing bugs and like milking the cow.
That's right. There's socks and ties on every single door handle, but unfortunately, there's no doors in this bunker.
No, there was just one of them just had it wide open.
They just had it wide open, like just rubbing legs and all sorts. So Mans wants to leave because his love is amongst the monsters. So he has to go out there, and that's why it's Love and Monsters.
That's Love and Monsters. Because he don't love monsters.
In the initial scenes, the bunker is compromised, and an ant comes into the bunker. Now this I'm talking 12-foot ant.
I mean, it could be more than 12 foot.
It could be more than 12 foot. When you see this ant in this film, I'm thinking like they've gone full practical effects on this ant.
Yeah.
You see like the little fur bits of the ant. You see it looks like a practical made monster. And when it hit me there, I was like, dude, this right here could be a great movie.
It could be a sleeper hit.
It could be a sleeper hit because like you got the 6.4 out of 10 on the IMDb's, but if all your monsters are practical in amongst the post-apocalyptic world, I mean, that's good fun. That's good fun for everyone involved. And, CGI is good. If you have the capability to do CGI really well, then of course do CGI really well. But in some cases, especially with monsters that don't exist in this real world, I mean, ants exist, but not to that size. When you see some physical elements of it that are actually practical in that space, it looks like it's real. So when I saw that ant, I was thinking, we're on for a good movie here. We are on for a good movie. And then the ant gets its face literally chopped off.
Yeah.
I was thinking, this is fantastic. And then, as we learn later, like none of the rest of the insectoids are practical.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't even notice.
They're done pretty well, though.
I thought they were good enough.
They done pretty well. And
some movements were a bit janky here and there, but other than that,
it is done pretty well. It just got me excited because I'm thinking, this could be a classic monster movie.
This is just practicality.
This is just practicality at its best. The reason why they went with CG is because there's discussion later about the eyes and how Michael Rooker starts talking about like, hey, some of these bugs aren't actually bad.
Yeah.
You have to look into their eyes. You have to look into their eyes because their eyes might tell you that they're just a bug out here that's big.
But don't look into their eyes too much because then you'll fall in love. And that's love with monsters.
That's it. And that's the end of the movie.
And that's the end of the movie.
Like Joel falls in love with a giant crab.
That's right.
And he gets it.
And they live happily ever after.
Yeah, you have to go to your health professional if you fall in love with a crab, though. Because that'll itch. That'll scratch, that'll itch.
Ugh.
But here's the thing. You have to do that. You have to do the CG because there's certain scenes in which Mans is looking directly into Bug's eyes. And
I thought the crab was pretty good.
The crab did look cool.
The crab was good.
I like the snail as well.
The snail was good. I thought, I don't really have any issues with
There's no issues with the CG. I think they did that fine, but it's just the fact that they started me off with practical effects.
They hit you with top tier out straight out of the gate.
And I'm thinking, we're on here for a movie.
Yeah, this is a movie.
This is a movie. And it still was a movie in the end, but I thought it was a movie.
Yeah.
And I want to specifically talk about some of the bugs and insectoids and things, specifically the crab, because I don't know if you've ever played. No, not the crab. Sorry, the toad. I don't know if you've ever played that new Star Wars game it came out maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Jedi Fallen Order.
No. In that game, you verse a toad that looks exactly like that and does the same stuff. Like it whips out its tongue, brings you in. You have to chop off its tongue.
Are you in Dagobah or something?
You ain't in Dagobah.
Okay.
You ain't in Dagobah. But you're on like a forest style planet.
Yeah.
And you have to chop off. Like there's a way that you can chop off its tongue. But in this case, in the case of Joel, the case of Love and Monsters, a dog chops off or bites its tongue.
Yeah.
So that one, the toad and the snail. I thought the snail was the coolest one out of them.
Snail was cool.
Because you like snails.
I like snails.
Because what are they doing? They're just walking from A to B.
Also, when Michael Rooker was saying, take off your clothes, I 100% thought it was just going to be, now you don't have any clothes.
And I've taken them.
And that was a prank. But Mans has got effectively the same shirt and jacket after that.
He does. Because what is it? What's
The reason is because the toad had the scent.
Oh, the toad. Yeah.
But I wish the toad just came out. I'm gonna give you my review of this movie right now.
Yeah.
The movie's fine.
Movie is fine.
It's fine. You can watch it and you can finish it, and some people will fall asleep, some people won't. But they should have lent into just the wild things happening out of nowhere.
That's exactly right.
They should have done that. Someone should have just gotten lifted up by a giant moth. Where were the flying bugs?
That would have been scary, right? Flying bugs come through,
That's what I
start
mean.
eating people, picking them off.
They should have hit us with the unexpected. You know, like at the end. Well, I'll talk about the end later. But I mean, I feel like there were so many situations where they could have done, because it was a comedy, part comedy and whatever. They should have just lent into that. Because I feel like the comedy was a bit few and far between. You know, Michael Rooker and the kid were comedic, and other than that, like there was some funny like slapstick comedy kind of things. Hey, man's gets smacked against a tree, or
Like, man has leeches on him. He starts like dry heaving.
yeah, that's
Or
right.
dry
And
reaching.
then he's kissing his girlfriend, but like, hey, you kissed old Pete,
Dude.
which I mean that was funny, but
I mean, if you're kissing old Pete like on live on air, like,
on
I'll
air.
laugh at that.
no, that's I'm saying that's funny, but they should have lent more into the comedic aspects of it, because Mans is out there in the wilderness. He has never been there before.
Yeah.
He freezes when he sees anything.
That gets a bit. I know that it doesn't take that long for him to break through that.
Yeah,
but
you're
it's-
always going to get that. You're always going to get that. Oh, I've just got to do this. Of course. I had it in me all along.
He needed the love of his dog too.
It was the power of friendship.
Let me tell people just from the start about friendship and this dog. Dog doesn't die in this movie.
What?
The dog doesn't die in this movie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It doesn't die. So like, if
It does
you're,
disappear for a minute.
it disappears on some stupid stuff, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. You know, just we'll get into that because I just want to briefly just hit the monsters once again. You're right. Imagine if there's a scene with flying monsters. Like, remember in Kong Skull Island, I think they fell for the same issues as what this movie fell for, in which they could have just done wild stuff.
Yeah.
And there's that one where they're walking amongst like the bamboo trees in Kong Skull Island, and one of the bamboo trees is actually the leg of
The mantis
of
thing?
something. It just stabs some dude in the throat.
Oh, yeah. It was like the spider looking
Yeah,
thing.
spider looking thing. Like, imagine you do some cool stuff like that. You just have weird, wonderful things going on.
That's what I mean. You know, can you imagine Mans is just sitting there, like he's walking, he's, I don't know, seeing his girlfriend or whatever, and the frog just comes and just like his tongue just pulls him away.
Because other than the frog, that's right. You do something like that where you're not expecting it. It's scary. But also you don't do the toad. You do something different.
No, but
Because you'd seen the toad. But maybe that's the first time you see the toad.
no, but I'm saying they said, hey, the toad's got your scent.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, no, the toad doesn't have your scent anymore. Should have just had his scent, and it should have
just-
just came out of nowhere.
Imagine if the toad is like a Michael Myers type, just throughout the whole movie, just following him.
He's just following him.
And then the toad and the crab just start rolling at the end. That'd be wild. So we see the toad. We see the what do they call it? The sand gulper or something.
I don't know what that was.
Queen sand gulper.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of bug that is. They should have done more of the bugs that we actually know. I ain't seen a sand gulper in my time.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, they should have done some familiar ones. You know, play with the nostalgia.
Of like you straight up have a bee or a
Bee.
wasp.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Imagine a wasp.
When they
dude.
said the queen, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a bee.
Just stabbing folk.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Like there's this wasp or bee that comes through, stabs folk, regenerates its stinger, and then goes on to
stinger.
the next person. That'd be pretty scary.
I mean,
That's a movie.
that's a movie.
And I mean, look, Love and Monsters 2 may or may not ever happen. But if it does, maybe the queen bee is going to be in there. So that was really it. It was the toad, the queen sand thing, the snail, and the crab,
And the leeches.
and the leeches and the ant at the start.
Yeah. And I guess there was a centipede. The centipede was cool.
The centipede.
The centipede was sick.
Yeah. And there was other things we saw in the background in some like scenes. For example, when
Those
you see
jellies?
shots of like stuff in the city and things like that.
Yeah. And there were some corpses and things like that. There were them jellies.
Yeah, but none that they necessarily interact directly with.
No.
Just you see them in the background, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
And like you do that in a post-apocalyptic setting, I enjoy that. I
Yeah.
enjoyed that look.
I did like the environment overall, but it was just a bit too. It felt almost fantasy-like.
More so than it was a real world.
Yeah, but that's the style of the movie. It's not meant to be a, hey, this is The Last of Us. Like, we're making the greatest movie ever made. They weren't doing that.
Dude, I mean, we could stop here and talk about The Last of Us.
We could talk about that. I haven't watched anything past the last episode 5.
Okay, because
watched anything.
the other one comes out, I think maybe even the potential of the last episode comes out today.
Oh, jeez.
Or has already come out.
Well, we'll have to do that at some point.
But yeah, you're right. And this is very much a teen movie.
Yeah,
It's one of those, young adult / teen movies in which there's a good looking lead who I just had to make sure hasn't done anything like controversial.
Yeah.
I just searched him up because like you don't know these days.
You absolutely don't know these days.
Like heads will be on TikTok, they'll say the racial slurs that you don't want to say. And you can't be promoting them. But this guy seems like pretty much like his face. He's pretty clean.
What annoyed me was because he had visible
Stubble.
but it just stayed like
Well,
that.
some people they can't do it like you. Like you
I'm
look
telling
like
you,
this.
I'm telling you, you got stubble like that. It's coming out in 7 days. There's something happening. There's some movement.
We're doing 2 videos today, and like you look like this in this video, and then the next video you're gonna look different.
We are doing 2 back-to-back podcasts. So if I've got a full beard and then, well, I mean, I guess what can you do?
Is this
Like
zombie?
they got like the professor in the Powerpuff Girls, and instead of like Element X, they just did like Element Ethnicity, and they just poured the whole thing in there, and they were like, well,
Dude, you've just made one of the best skits that we could make. Like if it's the Powerpuff Boys, but it's like I don't know what you could add to be like ethnic, and then you put ethnicity C or whatever you called it, and then we come out instead of the Powerpuff Girls.
and then we come out and we just like hair out the wazoo.
At the wazoo. And like we're wearing overalls with like oil and grease on
We're
it.
picking olives.
Oh, dude. Like that's my thing. I'm picking olives, you're doing sugos,
I'm doing sugos.
and like someone else is doing something else ethnic.
And then
you
there's
need
just
three.
like they're making pork sausages.
Is this movie Zombieland like B tier Zombieland?
Not quite, I don't think. I mean, it's somewhat. I think, you know what? I think for a preteen or a teen, I don't know, post-teen, whatever you
It
want to call
could
it.
be either or. I think there's too much
it's-
swearing for preteens.
I think it's, oh, that's true. I think it's fine. I really did like which, I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, but I liked when he looked in the crab's eyes and he was like, man, I'm getting shocked.
Yeah, that was fine. I was more saying like the narration of the thing and the fact that it's the one thing that I think is not good is, he's like, oh man, I'm a goofy dude living in this world. I don't have someone to love me. And it's like, you're the best looking man here. Like you're teen heartthrob Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm pretty
exactly.
sure that's his name.
Yeah.
You're getting love. Like it'd be hard for you
No,
not to get
because
love.
everyone else found each other in the vault.
They did find each other in a vault. And I mean, at that stage, maybe people aren't looking for looks. They're looking for that person that's going to keep them safe.
That's right. And mans can't keep you safe. Although in saying that, if he wasn't there frozen next to the big ass ant, someone else would have getting eaten. He was distracting the ant.
That's right. He did distract the ant.
Someone's got to be the bait.
I mean, at the same time, he did just watch a man get eaten.
Mans was getting eaten regardless. Mans was getting eaten regardless. Did you see that floor was swimming in blood?
I think that floor was swimming in blood.
Mans
yeah.
had to do the backstroke just to get to the ant.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
And see, when I saw that, I'm thinking like this movie could be wild.
It was a pretty wild opening scene.
Yeah.
I also love how, they went into the vents or whatever and the dude's like, don't worry, we'll get him, and he kisses his girlfriend.
And then he died. That's the guy that dies.
I mean, I couldn't even remember that previous scene, but as soon as Man's dies, I was like, oh, it was obviously that person.
What now that you've brought up the fact that it was a good scene, a very dark scene, obviously they're in the vents. They did a very good job of just making everything very bright. Like whenever you see the next monsters, they're all in the daylight.
Yeah.
They're all out in the open.
The overall feel of the movie was very vibrant, which is, it's fine. Like, I don't need to everything to look like Blade Runner.
No, but I'm saying that's a good thing in regards to the fact that they're happy to show you what these monsters look like.
Yeah.
And show you every part of them.
And show you every part.
Whereas, there is a benefit to doing like a shade. There's smoke and darkness, and you can't really see the full thing. But there is also a great thing about just seeing the full monster.
the full monster.
I think the narration and the guy just living in a world where there's no love for him. It was very Zombieland to me.
And doing the tips at the end.
And doing tips and tricks.
I mean, tips and tricks. You give out tips and tricks. Like, I was giving out tips and tricks today.
I mean, you'll do that though.
But I was doing about like programming things.
That's your role though.
That's my role.
That's your role, man. And like, look, you got to do it as much as you can just to feed the AI.
Feed the AI.
You got to feed it to them.
I know.
Because that's who you're tipping and tricking.
Nah, but I'm tipping and tricking. Like, I'm writing letters.
Right. So then the AI can't be fed.
Yeah.
That's good. So is there any, I mean, we sort of talked about it, but are there any other like hits and misses for you that you specifically want to bring up?
I think I really liked the part where they were at that motel when there was the robot there and the
Mavis.
I really like that scene. That was just like a nice scene, he showed. I mean, that was also a bit creepy. I was like, they got all the pictures of his parents.
Yeah.
Like that's AI.
That's AI.
Like someone's fed that, but in that sense, it's fine.
You walk into that scene alone, and you might think you're watching the Fallout movie.
Yeah.
You might think you're watching the Fallout.
No, I think that's what made me like it because you're in that motel and you got the jellyfish, which I thought was cool, and then obviously like he's talking to his mum and there's music, and I thought it was just a nice scene.
Yeah.
It was just a nice scene, and I really liked them. The jellyfish, they were cool. Also because it reminds me of Stardew Valley.
Yeah, and I was going to say this is part of the benefit of living within it or making a movie within a specific style of world is that it will remind you of a lot of things, especially a post-apocalyptic world. That's going to remind you of, it's going to make you think of Zombieland. It's going to make you think of Last of Us.
Yeah.
Not to the same degree because Last of Us is more realistic in regards to the fact that like people just dead.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
And it's sad, that's right.
But also it will remind you of a Stardew Valley or a Fallout, and that's pretty cool. And that makes you think like, when's the Stardew Valley like movie coming out where they're just in a valley doing like digging and
they're doing farming
and trading.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever that movie's about. That game's about.
Yeah, it's just farming. It's farming and you go into the mines occasionally and you give people gifts.
And that's positivity that we need in this world.
That's absolute positivity. I cannot recommend that game enough. It was also developed by one man.
Wow.
Which is insane.
That is insane.
Just considering how good the game is.
Just developing anything as an individual is pretty.
I mean, we've developed this podcast, but we needed help.
We needed two of us. The other thing that I will say is, that final crab scene where it's like, hey, it's a crab, but it's getting electrocuted. That was fine as well. And I like when the crab just starts destroying the boat.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you would do that as a crab.
That's right.
I mean, I don't have experience being a crab, but I would say that's exactly what you would do.
I'd have loved to see the crab just snipping people, just snipping them.
Yeah.
They
but they didn't really show it very much.
But like you just see it go, oh, and he's like legs over there.
Yeah.
His body's over here.
I also love that last community being old people.
Yeah, exactly.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
And that dude was just like, hey, yeah, I would have done different, but, and he's just there with his Hawaiian shirt and his gut out.
And they're just living like their beach life, man. Their beach life.
That's just beach life.
And then from my memory, Amy goes, or Dylan O'Brien's like, I'm leaving. I'm going on my next adventure.
And then they kiss and then they're all going to the mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when you think like maybe there's Love and Monsters too.
Yeah, Love and Monsters and Mountains.
Love, Monsters and Mountains. That's the movie.
But I've got a few things more to say. So why do Australians in movies with all Americans sound like villains? Like straight out the gate, you put an Australian in a movie and there's all Americans, I'm thinking that's a villain.
Well, is it an American doing an Australian accent?
I don't know. He sounded effectively Australian,
Yeah. Because sometimes they'll do a voice like this.
Yeah, but heads talk like that.
Heads usually don't talk like that. Come down here.
He's not quite... Okay, that's...
Because if they do, that's a villain in Australia. If you hear a headlight talking like that,
anywhere.
That's a villain, man.
I know, but you go further northeast.
I mean, yeah.
Heads will talk and it'll sound like the Australian that are on movies.
That's right. That is right.
Because we went northeast and they said, hey, where are you from? The Great Britain. And we said, my guy, what do you mean?
That's like...
Do you see this Southern Cross tattoo?
This is not northeast. This is... I mean, it's sort of like... It's northern.
It's east and then north.
That's right. But it's definitely northern. We were in Canada. And
Yeah.
there was people from America there. we were riding horses, dude. I showed you the photos, just us just on the plains
That's still
riding
wild
horses.
to me. That's still wild to me.
And this family had come down from America, and they were on the same tourist trap as we were. And we were talking to them, and they're like, "Oh, so like, what's it like over in the UK?" We're like, "Oh, no, we're not from the UK. We're from Australia." And they're like, "But your accent?" And we're like, "Yeah, no, we're definitely from Australia." And they're like, "Are you sure?" They asked me.
Oh,
Am
hold
I
on.
sure?
You're looking at your passport. Bro, I got it wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh, brother. Oh, you said United Kingdom. Oh, yeah, no, I'm from United Kingdom.
Yeah.
They thought because of our accent that we were from the United Kingdom. And then when we told them, they said, no, I don't believe.
I don't believe it.
But
Nah,
yeah,
that's wild.
but that is our tongue. We're from Southern Australia.
Yeah.
And the Southern Australians will talk with, like, we'll say dance. We won't say dance.
Dance. I mean, I think I say dance.
We do say dance, but you and I say dance. But like most Southern Australians speak with a more posh accent, if you will.
Yeah.
But that's
I mean,
it.
because we fancy, you know?
We're fancy, like Iggy Azalea, South Australian. And she's so fancy.
She's fancy. And she's fancy. That's wild.
Let's.
No, I got more things.
You got another thing.
I got another thing. I got a gripe with this movie. Let me tell you right now.
Yeah, tell him.
This lady that he travelled 7 days to go to, which, it was out of the blue. Man's didn't ask for consent. He doesn't need consent to just visit someone.
Yeah.
But like, he didn't ask if that was something that she wanted, given their history, whatever. When he gets there, he thinks it's going to be like, hey, we're back together. Like, you're the only one for me, baby. But she goes, hey, nah, this is like unexpected. And, I lost someone that meant a lot to me. She had another boyfriend, 100%, or another partner.
Right.
Which she meant by that. And so essentially for her and, what's the man's name?
Dylan O'Brien. That's his real name.
Yeah.
Max Holloway.
Max Holloway.
UFC fighter.
Whatever the dude's name.
Joel Dawson.
Joel Dawson.
Yeah.
And he's going, oh, well, that's it for me. That's it for me. But as soon as he kills that, he defeats that crab monster.
Yeah.
She's all in.
She's all in.
She's all in.
I mean, she puts all the chips on the table and she says, I'm all in.
She goes, I'm over that other dude. Because like he didn't mess up some crabs.
Initially, when she said that, I thought she was saying like Mans has become a fierce warrior, and this is not the man that she used to love. That's what I initially thought she meant by that.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
But she means an accident. She actually, and then she definitely means like there's another dude that was here, and that crab just snipped him in half.
Yeah,
and he was like, my legs,
my legs.
Like, because if you can see your legs and they're not attached, like you'll be screaming my legs.
Yeah, I mean you'll be worried then.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, you save a crab in front of someone, that they'll make you feel like $1 million.
That's what I mean. But don't settle. Don't settle, Dylan Dawson or Brian or Dawson.
Joel Dawson.
Joel Dawson.
Yeah, and I would agree. Like, you found yourself. You've bettered yourself through this journey. Just keep going.
Yeah. Did you ever gripe about the dog? You said something about the dog.
Yeah, the gripe about the dog. So there's a scene in which the queen sand muncher or whatever.
Is this with the dress?
No, it's when the dog is barking.
Yeah.
And it calls it over. And then the Dylan O'Brien's like, you idiot, you've called the dog, you've called the bug to us, and starts yelling at the dog. The dog runs away.
Yeah, that's when he comes out of the water after the leeches.
It might be when he comes
and now
out of the
he's
water.
yelling. Yeah, he's yelling.
And that's the there's always got to be a point in the movies in which the two heroes they have an issue between each other and they move away and they come back at the end.
Yeah,
that's
right.
the part.
And the dog just leaves.
The dog just leaves.
The dog just leaves. And that's what I mean. And then they're fighting the crab and the dog's there. It just comes out of nowhere.
Boy's just there.
It literally just runs from behind some sort of structure.
Yeah.
And the dog's there.
Which, like, you don't need that tension between you and a dog. If it happened between you and Michael Rooker, you're like, you idiot, Michael Rooker. I thought you were blue, but now you're not. Like, you say some stuff.
Where's your mohawk?
You say some stuff like that to Michael Rooker, then I get it. But if you're saying it to a dog,
nah.
And even then, why do we always need the two heroes are like not mates and then they're mates?
But there was no real, hey, we're mates again. It was just the dog's now here.
The dog forgave him and started fighting.
Because it's the dog.
Yeah. But that's really the only, like, other than that, it's just a basic movie. Like,
It's just a basic movie. I just want to know what happened to the president.
President dead, man.
But can you imagine they say like, "Hey, president killed by a giant moth," and really he's out there like hanging his clothes on the balcony of the White House, and there's like a little bug, and he's trying to swat it, and man just falls off the balcony and dies. Yeah, man, president died from a giant moth. These bugs, man, these bugs.
Like, I mean, it was pretty big, bro. Like, you should have seen it. It was pretty big.
I was thinking about that for a good 15 minutes at the start of the movie. I was just thinking that's hilarious.
Well, that'll happen, man.
Because you imagine Joe Biden, like, Joe, why are you putting out your washing? I've got to keep my prefrontal cortex in check or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
I mean, Joe will fall.
That's what I mean.
He'll fall.
That's what I mean.
And that, that's presidencies. Is this movie a 10 out of 10 for you? What are you thinking?
This is like a 6.5.
I reckon 6.5 is perfect rating.
I think it's fine.
Vincent, I'm going to tell you one more thing before we leave here.
Yeah.
That was Love and Monsters.
Oh, no. No, that's not where. No,
you're really gonna, and you're gonna say some stuff like, "Yeah, did you see this scene?" And it's gonna be the worst thing.
Because the thing that would have made this movie a 10 out of 10 for me is, at the end when he's going, "Hey, so you don't settle, go find, get out the bunkers. We've got to recapture the surface," and everyone's like packing up their things. There's just like families. And then they're coming out of their bunkers. I just imagine like, hey, there's now a montage and everyone's coming out of their bunkers and just getting picked off by like giant crabs and giant moths and giant bees.
I mean, that would be hilarious. That would take it to a 10.
That would take it to a 10.
Yeah, that would take it to a 10.
Because realistically, that's dumb idiot things.
And that's comedy.
That's comedy.
For you and me. That's comedy. And this has been the Back Catalogue.
Talk soon. Sorry I messed up there.